These events usually take place after opening hours or on Sundays when most Hermes stores are closed. But I mean, having the entire Hermes store to yourself, I don't think it really gets any better than that. Hey friends, my name is G.P.S. and welcome back. Last week I made a video on some of the most exclusive pieces and services that are reserved for the Hermes VIP. But as I was filming, it occurred to me that I should probably also talk about some of the parties and events that go alongside with these perks that Hermes hosts for their most loyal clients as a sign of appreciation, and to give a peek behind the curtains. So today, that's exactly what we'll be discussing, from the most lavish parties that only happen once or twice a year, if that, to the more intimate and smaller events that are hosted at smaller stores. So if you'd like to discover the secret world of exclusive Hermes parties that you might just end up leaving with a new bag in hand, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. There are two things that I would like for you to keep in mind before we get into talking about the actual events. Number one is that all of the parties that we'll be discussing, that I learned about and I attended, happened before the madness of 2020, but I'm hopeful that at one point these parties can be and will be back. And then the second thing that I thought I would point out is that if you are watching this thinking, why do I not know about these parties? Why have I never been invited? Even though I have shopped with the same person and the same store for years, it has nothing to do with you being appreciated as a client. In most cases, it just comes down to where you shop geographically, because it's usually larger flagship stores or just larger stores in general that have the budget allocated to host these entertaining parties. And that's really all that it comes down to, where you're located and where you shop. And it's funny that I'll be talking about events, because if you look up the definition of hermit in the dictionary, my face should be right there. I rarely ever go out, but over the years I have been very fortunate to be invited to some pretty spectacular parties by Hermes, even though I'm not an Hermes VIP. So we'll be discussing the parties that any loyal client can attend, and also the ones that are truly for the VICs. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at some fabulous parties. Let's start with the perfect gateway into the world of Hermes events, which in my opinion are trunk shows. Now, trunk shows happen a lot more often in Asia than they do in Europe and even in the US, but they do pop up worldwide every once in a while. And trunk shows are basically events that Hermes hosts either for a day or in some cases for a few days, when they pull in a large number of new pieces from a certain category. Usually these have nothing to do with bags or even leather goods. In most cases, these are for new ready-to-wear collections, furniture, home pieces, even pt.2, that they usually make feel more like an exhibition rather than a trunk show, but they are a similar concept as well. And even sub-brands of Hermes, so something like Saint Louis, which is a smaller brand owned by Hermes, they basically pull in all of these pieces from the newest collections, and they allow local customers to have a look at them under one roof, which is pretty rare to happen because Hermes creates very few pieces of everything they make across the portfolio. It's not only bags that are difficult to find from Hermes, the same goes for ready-to-wear, glasses, furniture, etc. But usually you're not competing against quite as many people as you do when it comes to bags, so it might not feel like that. But these trunk shows are an amazing way for you to be inspired and be introduced to a new Hermes métier that you might have never tried before or never even wanted to try. And there are different types of trunk shows depending on the theme. Usually a lot of them focus around ready-to-wear. Just before the latest collection is about to launch, they would hire models, invite some clients, and then they would have the models walking around the store with the pieces on, just so people can have a feel for what the pieces are like in person, up close and personal. And what's different about these sort of events and then an actual fashion show is, first of all, the event is in a much more intimate and private setting inside of a store. And they don't show you pieces month or years in advance. They show you the pieces as they become available. So if there's something you like, you should be able to pick it up either on the spot or they can order it for you in the foreseeable future. Moving on to the next event, this is one that I mentioned briefly in my last video, but I thought I should elaborate on it here, which is this sort of traveling event that usually involves a craftsman or a tailor who are usually based at a flagship, but they go to smaller stores in their area to offer services that otherwise would only be available at flagship stores. And this can be anything from a custom tailoring service. So if you would like to place an order for a custom suit or a custom jacket, this is your chance because you can have your measurements taken on the spot. You can go through fabrics and all the details with the true expert on the topic. In other cases, they invite craftsmen that can emboss your pieces on the spot for you, which are not only fun because you get a quick turnaround on the pieces and you get them back almost immediately, but you can also see how the whole thing goes down. You can see how craftsmen work on your pieces, and you can also chat with them in case you have any questions. And then I've also seen them do fragrance engraving. That is something that they usually do before the holidays, just because they know how popular fragrances are as a gift. This next event might surprise you because I feel when you think of the exclusive brand of Hermes, sales and discounts are not the first thing that comes to mind. But just like most brands out there, Hermes also offers sales and discounts. They just do it quite differently than other brands do. The Hermes sale usually happens across the US and in Europe once or twice a year, and they always happen at remote locations, so you can never walk into an Hermes store and ask what's on discount because they'll have nothing to show you. They basically ship pieces that didn't sell to a remote location, a warehouse, or an empty store space, and they'll offer those pieces up for grabs for a few days. But the first day of the sale is always reserved for invitation only. And even though there isn't a private section or a private sale just for Hermes VIP or loyal clients, the sale goes on for a week, and the only advantage that you get if you get an invitation is that you get to go on the first day. And the earlier you go, the more pieces you will have access to. I have done a video on my Hermes sale experience, but it is quite an old video, and I have been thinking about maybe redoing it. So if that's something that you'd be interested in, maybe give this video a thumbs up so I know that that's a video that I should work on, because I think it's an exciting topic to discuss, and we could go into details about the sale percentage, what pieces you can find, what pieces I found over the years. So definitely let me know if that's something that you would like to see. But the Hermes sale is very much worth looking into. Before we get into some of the most exclusive and lavish parties, I thought we could touch on some of the private events that Hermes is able to host for you inside of their stores. So it's a similar idea as renting a section of a fast food restaurant for a kid. You can pretty much do the same thing for yourself if you wanted to. So if you have a special occasion coming up or you have some friends to entertain, you can actually rent a section of Hermes to host a private event, which can be anything from a private shopping event, something more activity-based, so having Hermes teach you how to tie scarves in different ways, or really anything to do with their product lineup. I have even personally witnessed Hermes closing down one of their flagships for a company that had some clients over from overseas, and they basically closed down the store, or I should say they opened it up for them after they were supposed to be closed. These events usually take place after opening hours or on Sundays when most Hermes stores are closed. But I mean, having the entire Hermes store to yourself, I don't think it really gets any better than that. And last but definitely not least, let's talk about the party that is for the creme de la creme of Hermes clients, the one where Hermes goes all out and they spare no expense and no entertainment. These are the ones where champagne's flowing, there's catering, there are special pieces to see, and in some cases also to buy, which are Hermes Store Openings and also pre-store openings. These are the events that you really want to get invited to if you love seeing special Hermes pieces, because Hermes has a special stock that they only reach into to grab pieces out of when they have something as special as a new store opening up. Depending on how large the store is, sometimes they have exclusive pieces that are created specifically to celebrate that store's opening. But if you want to get a Himalaya, a 123 and away we go Birkin, or really just a special bag, one that is not as often seen or more difficult to come by, your chances of getting them at a store opening are quite a bit higher than getting them just regularly, because Hermes, when a new store opens up, gets usually a huge shipment of rare pieces that they have to give out to clients that they would like to entice. Depending on the type of store opening, the festivities usually go on for at least 2 days. So the first event is usually in the evening, where you're introduced to the new store space, the people working there, they have some snacks, they have some champagne, and definitely a big feast for your eyes with all the beautiful pieces on display. But there won't be any shopping going on. It's usually the next day, if the store is already open, that you will be invited to do some damage and do a little bit of shopping. And if you're looking for something truly special and rare, this is your chance to ask for it. I am by no means saying that you will be offered a bag or you will find the bag of your dreams. The last store opening that I went to was the second day of the meatpacking store opening, and I didn't see or find anything that I liked. But it's worth going because they not only have bags on display, but they also have beautiful home pieces, they have ready-to-wear pieces that otherwise would never make it onto the shelves. They probably would be pre-sold from the stock room. So it's just worth going, especially if you are hoping to place a special order, but you don't feel that you're quite there in your journey yet to place a special order at your home store. When a new store opens up, they often have the chance to give out special order to some of the clients attending, and all you need to do is be at the right place at the right time. I can only repeat myself, nothing is guaranteed, but these parties are not only a ton of fun, but are also a great way for you to see some spectacular Hermes pieces. And this completes today's video on some of the funnest Hermes parties and events. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and if you'd like me to make more videos like this, please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!